what is white culture? What would you say? How would you describe English culture? What would you say?
I really can't answer that.
I haven't got a clue, really.
Tradition?
Well,
Routine?
I'm just going to say that.
Line dancing.
Line dancing.
And we set the standards for the rest of the world, well, we used to.
Until I made this journey, I thought white people were certain of themselves. They knew who they were.
We're treated like second-class citizens, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I mustn't say I'm white and I'm English, because that makes me a racist straight away.
We must have something, but I'm not quite sure what it is.
These are people who are in a crisis. Something is finished, there's nothing in its place, and anything can happen. Morning, people.
How are we?
Just got up, went to the laundry, had a shower. I'm ready to go. We're going to meet as many of the white tribe as we can.
Can we go to your house first?
Yes, come.
Some of the things I found on my journey through England were shocking. The old England of self-confidence, of people knowing who they are, knowing where they have come from, that's dead. I never walk with a key. And New Britain, that's just a figment of their imagination.
So how do you feel about this whole journey?
I'm a bit nervous about it. I don't know anybody who's done it before. But I feel confident. I've lived here for 28 years. I've lived in this country for close to 40 years. So I think I'm entitled to talk to whites about what I believe is a kind of crisis of identity. This is my son, my last boy, and he just got up. I'll tell you where I'm going, Amiri. I'm going on a long journey to talk to English people about who they are and what they hope to be. I haven't had breakfast, so I hope you can have some toast and orange juice. What time is lunch?
I was born and I grew up in the Empire. And when I left Trinidad at 17, it was to England I was coming. That had been put into my head by my parents since I was 5 or 6. It was the greatest place in the world. And then I came to England, married an English woman, had children, brought them up here in England. But it seemed to everybody else, to white people, I was always British, never English. Back then, they took being white and its privileges in their stride. There was never any question of what being English was. They seemed to think they were born to rule. And then the sun set on the empire. And Scotland is now on its way to independence. So is Wales, and now the English are all alone. Crisis. Just one example. There's a church in my neighborhood in Brixton, and the church was the foundation of old England. There's just a handful of people there now, and out of that handful, a small handful of whites. And across the road, hundreds of young people, clubbing until 4 in the morning, hedonistic in behavior, licentious, dressed in the most skimpy outfits, so that you see before your face all the old traditions have disappeared.
2.4 children, things like that, that's typical English, and country houses and things like that, but it's not. In the real world, it's changed a hell of a lot.
You're very unusual. You don't look the normal way.
We're having fun.
Just having fun. Do you describe yourself as English?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, it means I was born in England and my parents are also born in England. And, English culture is very non-existent these days, really.
What strikes me is this country is full of English people who don't want to be English anymore. They are rejecting all that in favor of something more appealing, more European, more exciting, more international. I wanted to find white English culture, and I needed to talk to whites who weren't part of this Gucci and cappuccino crowd. I was driving out of London when I spotted the turnout for Southall, and I said to myself, this is exactly the right place to start the journey. In the last 30 or 40 years, England's cities have been utterly transformed by people like myself, West Indians and Asians. What has become of the whites in these places, where they are no longer the ethnic majority?
It's difficult to say that there is a white English culture. I'd say yes, I'm proud to be English, but not because I'm a white English person, but because I was born in England, I've lived in England all my life, and you should be proud of where you come from and where you've grown up. My name's Simon. I'm a white male that's grown up in Southall. I've lived here all my life. Family has always been in Southall. People see Southall as a bit of a dump. So you grew up in Southall, that's like, it's not too bad. This is my family. This is Leah, my little daughter. And this is my wife, Brandy, and the pet gerbils.
This must be one of the few places in England where white people are conscious of having a white skin. They are outnumbered 3 to 1. They can't take being white for granted. And especially on a day like this, when every Sikh in the neighborhood is out on the streets celebrating the festival of Vaisakhi.
It makes me very ashamed that all these people that have come to our country, that they can bring a religion and celebrate it, yet people that have been in this country since time began don't have the same amount of pride in their religion anymore, and they don't celebrate things in the same way. And our national day, St George's Day, it kind of just came, oh, it's St George's Day today, and then it's gone. There was no event or anything, which is shameful because it's something to be proud of, that we have a saint for our country and he has a day set aside for him. It's the only big event that's celebrated properly now is Christmas, because Easter, you buy an Easter egg, it's done. The thing that disappoints me is we're not as close as an Asian family in the fact that the grandparents, instead of sending them off to a nursing home, they build an extension and say, look, come and live with us, we'll look after you. It just doesn't happen in white families as often.
Walking around with a young English man, my instinct is sympathy.
This is a state that I grew up in. I had a few Asian friends, not a great deal. A lot of the time was spent playing football, but other than that, there wasn't much that was done. We have got a community centre, but very few people use it. You get a bit of crime. There's a lot of drug dealing goes on in the area, a bit of petty theft, but nothing really more serious than the biggest problem in the area is the drug dealing.
It looks rather bleak around here, isn't it?
It's a bit dull, yeah.
So where can we have lunch?
The best place for lunch around here is pubs. There's a lot of Indian restaurants, but as I say, you don't really go out for a meal in Southall unless you want Indian.
So I don't feel for curry today, so...
Sounds like it's a pub then.
It looks like a pub.
OK.
Chips with everything.
Chips with everything. Chips with chips in this area. English food is bland. Pretty much every meal I can think of that's traditionally English has a very bland tasting meat that's been cooked in a very similar way